Whether it's guitar, sports, or just life in general, sometimes you just have to get back to the basics to really find the things that move you. Well, guys, in classic fashion for just about everything else I do, I managed to bite off a little more than I can chew, and I had this lesson idea to talk about harmonizing your scales with chords up the neck, so like D, like this. So I've been working on kind of using my thirds for soloing and things, and I realized as I started to do the lesson that if we don't go all the way back to the beginning and talk about just how do thirds work, major and minor, then we're all going to be lost if I try to explain you these other things. So what started out as like, oh, let's do this quick lesson on harmonizing chords up and down a scale, turned into oh, this is probably going to be a 3-part thing. So today we're going super, super basic. What is the third? What do we mean by major and minor third? And how you can use that to just build a chord. That's all we're going to do today. Then we'll look at how do we harmonize the scale in thirds, something like this. And then once we start to understand how that works, we'll do it with full chords, and then you'll be able to see and kind of alter your playing based on a third, because the third really kind of gives you the difference between saying, hey, how's it going? And hey, how's it going? Right? The third kind of gives you the attitude. Major is kind of thought of as happy, and minor is kind of thought of as sad. So let's pull in here close and we will get started. We're just going to start with the basics today. So this is a great beginner lesson. All right, let's pull in. All right, this is where I jump in right before we get into the actual nuts and bolts of the lesson. Thanks again to everyone who has liked and subscribed. It's been really great to get to talk to people and start learning some of these things. I'm going to start with this base lesson and build it up. So if you have these concepts that you're interested in, let me know some others. I've got some other videos bumping around. I've got a pedal steel guitar over here that I'm going to try to rebuild. So look that up if you're interested in that as well. So thanks again. Don't forget, like, subscribe if you haven't, comment with things you want to see, and let's get to the lesson later. Okay, so what the heck is a third? A third is just the third note in a scale. So if I have a C major scale, well, the third is the third note in that. So the C is the 1, the D is the 2, and the E is the 3 of the third. So in this case, it's a major third, which means it's 2 whole steps. So let's talk about the easiest way to find your major third. We're going to start with major thirds, then we'll work on our minor thirds. So let's say our root is C. So your major third is 2 whole steps up. And so a reminder that on a guitar, each fret is half a step. So we're going to go 2 whole steps. That means we would need 4 frets. So if C here, E is our third if we're on the same string. So the same thing right here. If my C is up here on the E string at the 8th fret, I slide up 4 to the 12th fret, and what do you know, there's my E. So if you're on the same string, it's always 4 frets up. Now if you want to skip strings, or if you want to find it somewhere closer, honestly, then you would take your root. So if my C is here, you go down 1 string and down toward the headstock 1 fret. So it's right there. So for C, my major third can also be down 1 string and back here. Now you might notice, right, if you play a C chord, look at that, I've got it right there. Same thing works up here with my C on the 8th fret. There's an E right here on the A string, 7th fret. So, which if you're using the cage system, that's a kind of a G shape. There you go. Now the way the guitar is tuned, right? So if I'm here, there's my third. If I'm going from E string to A string, my third is down and back one. If I'm going from A to D, same thing. D string to G string. Now where you get into a problem or something that's different is, remember, the distance between the G string and the B string is a major third, so you're just going down one string. So now, something to remember if we're going to build a major chord, you have the first, the third, and the fifth, right? I think I talked about triads in another where I was just talking about it at Rockabilly, but we're going to talk about it in general. So the fifth is always down one string and up. So the fifth is the fifth note of the scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join this D. Now when you play a C chord, what do you know? You have your root, then we have this third here, and then an open D string gives you your fifth. Okay, we can do it up here with that G shape, C, E, D, or I can do it even this way. So if my C's here and my third's there, a fifth is also up one. So to remember for your fifth, you either can, if I'm in C, it's either just up one fret, or I can go down one fret and up 2 frets. Don't let it fool you too much, but it's just basically the first, the third, and the fifth will get you your C triad, or just your major triad. In this case, I'm playing it in C. And those shapes will be everywhere. Anywhere you can find a C, it will be there. Now, depending on what the shapes you use, right? So we said a C shape, the third is right there. Now if you do it in D, let's play a D chord, a D major chord, just your regular old open chord. So your root note is here, and guess what? We're playing a third, down one string and back one fret. So that's how you get that major sound. Okay, so that's your major third. So now let's talk about a minor third. All right, so what's the difference between a major third and a minor third? Well, a minor third is flattened, so that's a half a step down. So instead of going up 4 frets, we're going up 3. 1, 2, 3. And so that gives you that minor kind of solemn, sadder sound. And so the thing to remember, right? So if the major third is here relative to the root, so the minor would just be a half a step down. Okay? Now a great way to see this when you're building your chord, because the fifth stays in there still. So if I'm using just my regular D shape, here's a D major, right? And remember our major third is right there on the 2nd fret, high E. So we're going to make that a minor, right? So we slide that down. The other 2 strings are still the same. And so that's how you get that very common D minor sound. So you go. And now another way to think about that, let's use an E shape, okay? So an E major, open chord as you know it, right, is open E, the A string on the 2nd fret, the D string on the 2nd fret, and then this finger, right, hits your third. So what's the difference? If I'm going A major, well, if I want an A minor, I take this finger off and I get the open string and I get a minor. See how it sounds different? So now let's just do it as a bar chord, right? E shape still here at A. If I take this finger off, this finger here that's got the third, same thing. Now I've got an A minor all of a sudden. So what you want to do is you want to start thinking about these chords as you make them, and how can you make them major or minor. So let's take a C shape. Let's just use E in like a C shape here. If we're going to do it major, I've got the E, C sharp, excuse me, that's a, what is that? That's an A flat. So E, A flat, and my B. So now if I drop that A flat to a G, all of a sudden I have a minor, and all I did was move this string down half a step. So start playing with your major shapes. Find the third in that shape, and then flat it, and you'll start to see how the third just makes all the difference in the vibe of the chord you're making. So, and the only note I'm changing in this, if I got a D shape here, there. A good way to do it too is just to pick out your triad. So D shape is a really good one, I think, to figure that out. So let's just stay up here in D so we don't confuse you, but it works all the way up if I do a D-shaped A. But if we do it at D here, so if I pick it out, you can pick it out again and just go back and forth between them. And try that all over. Let's do it in A. We'll do a D-shaped A here, triad. And we'll do the same thing. All right, so let's talk about how easy it is to find the third on the guitar. So once again, it's 4 frets up for a major, 3 frets for a minor. It's down 1 string and back 1 fret for a major. It's down 1 string and back 2 frets for a minor. Now this works for the E string, A string, D string. When you get to the G, and even the B go into the E string. But we've got this wonderful little thing about the guitar where it's tuned in fourths except for the G to the B string. So to find the third for that, it's the easiest of all. So if I'm here, my major third is just down 1 string. My minor third is down 1 and back a fret. So remember that when you're working on this, that when you get to the G string, the B is tuned different relative to the G. So that's just how the guitar is made. You'll have to get used to that with all the shapes that you're doing. So again, start with this D shape, learn how it goes from a major to minor. Take the E shape, learn how it goes from major to a minor. Same with the A shape. So if we're doing an A chord here, just an open A, so this note right here is your major third in A, so which is your C sharp. So to make it minor, right, you drop it back 1 and you get that shape that you know for A minor. So take these open chords and these open shapes that you've learned that show you like a major or a minor chord, and look at what finger changes. You're going to notice that only 1 finger slides back 1 fret most of the time, and that's how you get that major minor sound. So just run through these, try them all you can, ask questions below, and I'll try to help them out, and then hopefully. And so there you go. All right, y'all, there you go. There's a super basic lesson on the difference between a major and minor third and just what the heck a third is to begin with. It's such a rudimentary, fundamental part of music that you really got to start understanding how chords are built with the third and how you can even use that going forward as we get more advanced and talk about soloing, and how you can kind of lean on the third to kind of get a vibe across as you're playing. So, once again, thanks to everybody that's liked and subscribed so far. If you haven't, please think about doing that below. We'll keep going with these. Next week, I think we'll probably work on how to harmonize in thirds, so you can kind of get an idea of how to kind of do it scale, down the scale, and how we build those. And we'll just keep rolling with it. Ask any questions you can below. If it need to make a video about it, I'll make a video answering the question. If not, we'll just keep rolling along. Still working on that pedal steel. Hopefully we can get those videos up in the next week or two also. So, all right, I hope everybody has a good time, and thank you, and see you on the next one.